Hello everyone, it's Melinda here with CatSmashPuzzles, and today we're doing a two-part episode of the speed puzzling cruise that I went on in January. This was speedpuzzling.com's second cruise, and this one was out of the Caribbean, which it actually sailed out of Galveston the second week of January, and I got to participate. Everything lined up for me and my boyfriend to go on this trip. Yes, we had about 4 weeks between our European cruise and this one, so we did back-to-back cruises. I recommend it, but I also don't recommend it. It's very tiring and money-wise, but you know what? I had a lot of fun, and as you can see by my pile of puzzles here, there's a lot to talk about. I will be doing a two-part video of this. So the first video, this one, I will be going over the solo event and the pairs event. And in the next video, I'll go over the team events, and then, as you can see here, there's a big puzzle that Jonathan brought, and I will explain on that video what we did with that puzzle, as well as more details of my vacation in both videos. But I do really wanted to just say that this is kind of my second cruise video, and this one is more speed puzzling related versus the other one. I just brought that puzzle for the sake of, I did a speed puzzle on a cruise ship in Europe, and it was just sort of I had to do it, just had to film it. Now, unfortunately, I got all the footage from the competition. I got no additional footage on the cruise, and once again, I keep kind of disappointing myself when I don't have any other additional footage to show you. I do have some pictures, which I'll happily show at the end of the video, but it is something I'm trying to work on. I very much live in the moment, and so that does tend to not make me focus on my camera and therefore film events as they go. I will get better at this, I promise. There'll be more footage. I don't like filming other people without their permission. That's just kind of my ick. So I did get my pair partner and my team's permission to film them, so I wanted to make sure that was clear. So the cruise was on Royal Caribbean's Harmony of the Seas, and it was a 7-day trip out of Galveston, and we had 2 days at sea at the beginning, and then we stopped in Roatan, Honduras, and then our second stop was Costa Maya, Mexico, third stop was Cozumel, Mexico, and then we had one more sea day, and then that was the end of it. It had to end, unfortunately. But during all 3 sea days, I went to all 3 events for the speed puzzling competition. The first sea day, we had the solo competition. The second day, we had the pairs competition. And the third day, which was after our 3 days of port, we had the teams competition. Now, the speed puzzling cruise, I believe in July of 2025, was their first cruise. And it was on, I believe, Princess or Celebrity, one of the two. And they had about 45 people that attended. Well, this one was a bit of a smaller group. It wasn't much of us, but we had a lot of fun, and we did really enjoy getting all the puzzles. Jonathan and me had a lot of chit-chatting, got to talking what his plans were, you know, all sorts of things. I had questions about the competitions. It was actually quite nice. I got to meet his extended family as well, and it was just, it's a really well-run family business, and I'm very much happy to support them. Now, for the solo event, there were actually 3 events. The first event was actually what you call a pyramid. It is actually a relatively new event in speed puzzling. Jonathan just recently introduced this in, I think, the last 3 months or so. And basically, it is 3 puzzles, and they get bigger as you go, and people are eliminated each round. So there are 3 rounds, and in this example, it starts with a 100-piece puzzle. So this one is Moana and Maui, Ravensburger. And then the second round is a 200-piece puzzle, and this one is called Ocean Turtles. And then the third round is a 300-piece puzzle called Underwater Adventures. All 3 were Ravensburger. And yes, there was an extra 200-piece puzzle in here, and that was for the pairs. And I'll go over that. Basically, in the first round, you do the smallest puzzle first. And as a 100-piece puzzle, this one should be relatively quick. I believe the time limit was 10 minutes. So what happens is all participants start with the first puzzle, and then I believe if you fall out of the time limit, you are eliminated from the round. If there's a certain level of participants, a percentage of people will be eliminated. So, for example, the top 50% will move on to the second round. So the top 50% fastest puzzlers will move on. And then once that one's done, you move on to the second one if you're in that top 50%. Since there wasn't too many of us, Jonathan allowed everyone to participate on all 3 rounds, but normally you would be eliminated and you would just kind of wait until everybody's finished. But you would then go to the second round. So now the piece count has gone to 200, and basically you have to do the same thing. Get this puzzle done as fast as you can to be in the top section to move on to the third round. So it might even become smaller. The top 25% of puzzlers would move on to the next round. I don't know exactly what the rules of the percentile is. I'm just kind of making that up as I go because, again, our group was so small. Jonathan let everybody participate, so no one was officially eliminated. But the top 25% or so would go on to round 3 once they finish this puzzle. And then round 3 was a 300-piece puzzle. And as you can see, combining all 3 puzzles, it's a 500-piece puzzle. And so the idea is to have the least amount of time to do all 3 puzzles. Now, once you get to the third puzzle, and Jonathan did mention that doing these pyramids, the third puzzle will be the hardest, because usually the fastest puzzlers will be doing it, therefore he would like to challenge them. And I'll tell you this right now, with both this one, the 200-piece one right here, and this one, they were a bit more difficult because of all the coral. But I was surprised with my results. And I'll show you all the time lapse for these 3 in a moment. But yeah, I saw this and I'm like, oh boy, that's gonna be a little tough. Because to me, coral is random colors, and that's a little bit more difficult for me. And there's just a lot of blue with the dolphins as well. So the top puzzlers will do the last round, and then obviously they'll be ranked on the best time. And at the very end of all 3 puzzles, what happens is all those times are combined to a final time. And basically that combined time is your end result. So we did the pyramid. And I'll go ahead and roll the footage for that real quickly. It's not very long, and I think it'll kind of just demonstrate, how each puzzle went for me. So let's smash them. that was my results for the solo pyramid. For Moana and Maui, I got this done in 5 minutes and 28 seconds, which is not bad for a 100-piece puzzle. I think I try to shoot for under 5 minutes for a 100-piece if I can. I don't tend to always get there. I do relatively get under the 6-minute mark, but not quite the 5-minute one. I do think it's a little hard to do, but it's one of those things that I just kind of really speed run. And in that round, I got first place out of 8 participants. The second round, Ocean Turtles. I did this one in 13 minutes and 1 second. And again, this one kind of surprised me. I was pretty happy with that result because it was under 15 minutes, and that's what I usually try to do for a 200-piece puzzle. And once again, I got first place out of 8 participants. And finally, the 300-piece puzzle, the last round, Underwater Adventure, I got this done in 26 minutes and 8 seconds. Once again, getting first place in the round out of 8 participants. So all 3 of those times combined was 44 minutes and 37 seconds, which got me first place for the entire solo pyramid. Because all the participants did not get, they didn't get eliminated in the rounds, Jonathan basically compiled the times, and that was the result. Again, I'm not quite certain if that's going to be the final results of all pyramids going forward, or it's just because we were such a small group, he allowed everyone to just accumulate their time. I'm not 100% sure how the scoring goes. Maybe once I do another pyramid, which I will be doing in the Texas State Championship, I might be able to clarify that for you in the future video. First solo event was my pyramid. I had a lot of fun with it. I do think I'll always probably get to the 3rd round, but how fast I get to the 3rd round, I do not know. Now, we move on to the 300-piece solo event, and it was this guy. This was Masterpieces, Oceanside Camping, and I'll be honest with you, this puzzle was a bit of a doozy when I first started. So I'll go ahead and run that one real quick for you. Let's smash it. As you can see, I had a bit of a spacing issue with this one. I had the corner of the puzzle almost falling off the table, and it was a round table that I was on, and I think I just misjudged the space of it because I was used to the Ravensburgers, and I think they were just smaller. I'm quite used to Masterpiece's piece shape, but again, this one, for some reason, I just had a harder time with it. But I got it done in 24 minutes and 56 seconds, and once again, I got first place out of 8 participants. Relatively happy with that time. I think I could have done a little better with Masterpieces, but for what it wasn't too bad. The gradient sky was kind of nice, but I do think I kind of got tripped up a little bit with the metal camper here. But otherwise, fun puzzle to do. Masterpieces is kind of a hit or miss with me. Now comes the last solo event of the day. So again, this was all done in one day. And actually, we were located in the main dining room that was only utilized for dinner. So we were doing this from the morning to lunchtime. We had lunchtime in between. And then once we had, after lunchtime, we actually had to move down to the ship's conference center because they had to start getting ready for dinner that day. And so the 500-piece solo event was done at the conference center. So we moved down to the conference center where we did the 500-piece solo, which this one is called Movie Lovers by Remarks. And I do not like these puzzles. I'll give you the honest assessment right now. It is not my type of puzzle. There's a lot of text. The collage is fine. I don't have an issue with the collage because it's very colorful and I can memorize where kind of each section is, but the text will always kind of trip me up a little bit. So when Jonathan said this is going to be a quick puzzle, and I opened it, I'm like, maybe not for me? This isn't my type of puzzle? Remarks has always been kind of a hit or miss for me. So for the 500-piece solo, let's smash it. Okay, maybe I lie to myself. I actually do pretty well with remarks. I got this puzzle done in 43 minutes and 34 seconds. One of my best times for a 500-piece puzzle on my first attempt. If I get anywhere below 45 minutes, I'm pretty happy with that. I honestly was doing it, and I thought I was so slow at it. I thought it wasn't going very well. And I hit my clock and turn it around. I'm like, oh, that was very quick, actually. So I was rather happy with that. And that time got me first place out of 8 participants. I think the solo event was a lot of fun, and I, again, just feel like it was really good practice for Texas State that's coming up in February, and I really am looking forward to that. Now, real quick, we'll move on to the pairs. So that was the first day. Once we finished the 500 solo event, we were dispersed, went our own ways, went have dinner, all sorts of things on the ship. And then the next day, the second sea day we went and did the pairs event. Now, I didn't know anybody on the cruise that was doing the tournament, so I got paired up with Miss Julia, and she is from Houston, so it was the Texas team, and it was her first speed puzzling event. Now, Julia actually really did well. She kind of sped up, I think, when she was with me. I was very happy with how she handled some of the pieces that she was dealt, and she was a good team player, and I was happy to have been paired up with her. I think we both had a lot of fun puzzling together. So we also did a pair pyramid, and I'll go over those real quick. The first puzzle was a 200-piece puzzle. So unlike the solo event that started with 100, 200, 300, the pairs is a 200, 300, and then a 500. Because there's 2 people, bigger piece count. This one's called Magical Underwater World, and actually it was a bit more deceiving than it led on. I actually was like a little bit frazzled with it when we first started going. I think we did this one sideways, so none of us was doing it upside down. But it was a good one to start with. Rather kind of gradient. Got things everywhere. You can tell there's an underwater theme mostly going on here. Alright. So let's smash it. can see, we did pretty well for our first time puzzling together. For the 200-piece puzzle, we did this one in 13 minutes and 41 seconds. Unfortunately, that did not get us first place. Maddie and Elizabeth took the win on this one. They beat us by like 12-something seconds, so it was very close. And then for the 300-piece puzzle, Masterpieces, Coastal Gateway, we did this one in 19 minutes and 26 seconds. Again, that got us second place behind Maddie and Elizabeth. So I do think that they had obviously been paired up together before, they've practiced, but when it hit Cobble Hill, my strength did show itself. We finished this puzzle in 38 minutes and 42 seconds. And we actually beat out Maddie and Elizabeth on this one. And because the pyramids were all combined in time, we overall, me and Julia, won the pyramid event. Even though they beat us in the first and second round, the time difference on those two was too small to overcome the time difference here. I believe they finished this one in like 40-something minutes, which was like 2.5 minutes after us. So that gap caused more time between them and us. Because it took them 2.5 minutes longer, their overall accumulation of time was higher than us. So therefore, we ended up doing all 3 puzzles faster than they did all 3 puzzles, even though they beat us on the first 2. I guess in that sense of how it's scored in the pyramid, you can make up the time if you do this one faster than the other 2 rounds. I found that kind of interesting because I wasn't expecting us to win it because we lost those 2. But it worked out for me and Julia, so I was happy to see that we did pretty well teaming up together. The next event for the pairs, again, this is all same day, second day at sea. We did the 500-piece pair puzzle, and that was another remarks puzzle, and this one is called New York. And there's a lot of New Yorks here. And a little funny tidbit on this one. I'll let the camera roll, and then I'll tell you exactly what happened with this one. But I was like, oh no, not another collage, not another remarks. But I had done so well on this one, on my solo event. I thought, okay, this will be fine. We'll be all right. Let's smash it. So we did not do very well. In fact, this was probably, in retrospect, not the best showing out of all the competitions. We finished this puzzle in 37 minutes and 45 seconds, which isn't bad. However, I don't know if you could tell in the footage, but, and I really did look to see, I think it was my fault. I had attached a piece in the wrong spot, and it had left a gap in the puzzle, and it made it look like we had more pieces to put in than we actually did. It needed to be unhooked and pushed further in and attached. And I think it was my fault. I'm looking at it, I'm like, I think I attached that piece. It was me, and I just didn't realize it until about 32 minutes in. And about a couple minutes later, Maddie and Elizabeth finished. They finished this one about 3 minutes earlier. And from what I understand, I think it was Elizabeth or Maddie, one of the two, their expertise is grids. So they really excelled at this one. I was very happy for them on that. But yeah, no, I even said in the film, oh no, we screwed ourselves. We have this piece attached in the wrong spot, and it left this massive gap. And that probably slowed us down enough to have the difference between us and the ladies from Chicago. But again, it was all right. We were all having fun. It was a good time. No issues there. And then the final event in pairs. So once we finished those events, we had to move again to the conference room because we ran out of time in the dining hall. We went down to the conference room and we were doing the pairs relay. And I've explained the pairs relay before, but I'll do a brief synopsis here. Basically, you have two small puzzles, usually 200 piece puzzles. You have them both open at the same time. You and your partner are each working on each of the puzzles individually. And then every 5 minutes, you will switch puzzles. Usually you move, not the puzzles. Don't move the puzzles. And in this case, they were two boardwalk puzzles, and I knew instantly they were boardwalk by the feel of the boxes in the wrapped up paper. And we have Mexico and Riviera Maya, which again, definitely on theme. We were in Mexico. We were going to Costa Maya. We saw the ruins. It was beautiful. And me and Julia, I kind of told her what me and Christina do normally. So we have them sideways like this, and we would pivot. So this is how we don't have to move chairs or, shuffle the puzzle around or do anything like that. So I kind of told her our plan. She agreed to it, and we did our final pair competition of the day. So let's smash them. Well, we did these two puzzles in 26 minutes and 21 seconds. Pretty quick. And we won the pairs relay by 25 seconds. Maddie and Elizabeth were right on our heels, right behind us. Actually, I was missing a piece from the Mexico one. I finished this one, and I looked for this piece. It was nowhere to be found, so it was actually missing from the box. And then we were missing a piece on this one a little bit, but we found it in the bag. There was no missing piece on this one, thankfully. But yeah, we were real tight again. You know what? It was just so much fun. Just doing the puzzles with someone new who hadn't experienced speed puzzling, and I gave her all the tips she wanted to know, how to, what to do, what to practice. And I ultimately think she's a very fast flipper. Like, she can flip the pieces so quickly. But I think Julie and I did a wonderful job. We had a great time puzzling. I had a great time talking to her about, the adventures she has, and how she kind of got introduced to speed puzzling. Kind of similar to mine. She just finds a competition and she just like, oh, this is a thing. I like to puzzle. I'll just go and try it. It's just always interesting kind of hearing people's stories of how they get introduced to speed puzzling. So that wraps up both the solo event and the pairs event on day 1 and 2 of the cruise. I'll quickly just leave it here before I go into the next video, which will be part 2 of the cruise here. And as you can see here, I did find a few duckies on the cruise. If you don't know, if you've never been on a cruise before, people like to hide rubber duckies or a version of it. This one's a 3D printed flat duck. Got another 3D printed flat duck attached to a Jesus little guy. That was cute. I found a Jesus little one in one of the puzzles on the cruise ship too. That was kind of funny. And I actually did find actual rubber ducky. I only found one on the European cruise. I found 3 here. And it was on the first day, and then I never found any more. This was my first speed puzzling cruise, which I had a lot of fun, met a few new people, and ultimately it was a good place to hang out with Jonathan, his family, just kind of get the behind the scenes of speedpuzzling.com a little bit, and just getting to enjoy puzzles in general. Now, on the next video, I'll go over the teams event and this 3,000 piece puzzle and what we were doing with it, as well as a little more a discussion of my vacation and just telling y'all, showing you pictures of what I did. Alright, as for the solo and pairs rounds for the speed puzzling cruise, I think we smashed it. Thanks so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.